Shalom, shalom. This is Daniel John Lee with Torah Restoration Ministries. It is Thursday, August the 9th, 2018, 27th day of the 4th Hebrew month. I don't have a lot of new information today, but I kind of wanted to go over, again, the mission statement and the purpose of why I've gone in this direction lately. Because I've been getting, I've gotten some people who have said, why are you doing this? Why don't you get back to the Torah and Hebrew roots of the Christian faith, which is what your ministry is all about? Well, I've discussed this before, but the main reason is because of that verse that Yahshua, Jesus says, which is, if anyone causes these little ones to stumble, it's best to have a millstone tied around their neck and for them to be thrown to the bottom of the sea. So I think outing pedophiles, exposing pedophiles so that they get arrested and so that they stop committing pedophilia is a noble mission. I mean, what's more nobler than protecting the little ones that Jesus himself talks about, So I think this is a noble mission, and I think every Christian Messianic should be involved in doing this. I mean, why wouldn't you, Why wouldn't you? So that's the first thing. As for the credibility of Fiona Barnett, Isaac Cappy, Sarah Ashcraft, Ben Fellows, David Shooter, Michael Weiland, Crispin Glover, the actor. As for the credibility of these people, Sarah Ashcraft, I mean, they're credible. They're either victims themselves, or they are firsthand eyewitness accounts of what they're seeing. And again, if these people that are being accused, who are by and large mostly powerful, very wealthy people in Hollywood or in the religious community, why don't they deny it? Why don't they say this is a lie? Why don't they put a court injunction against Fiona and Isaac and Sarah and these people? Because they're naming specific names. They don't do it because they're guilty. It's pretty obvious. It's a no-brainer. So if you're not on fire about this, if you're somehow opposed, you think this is like a wrong thing, then you need to check your heart. I mean, if you're not willing to stand up for little kids getting raped and sexually molested by powerful people in Hollywood, what do you stand for? Honestly, what do you stand for? And if you take down these powerful people and you expose the CIA child sex pedophilia ring, then by taking down the top, you can stop a lot of the pedophilia that happens on the lower levels across the nation. So some people have said, well, what you're doing is pointless. These people are never going to get arrested. Well, how do you know that? How do you know they're not going to get arrested? If enough people come forward, if there's enough whistleblowers, if the public gets enraged enough, then yes, these people are not above the law. Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks and Franklin Graham, and these people are not above the law. I don't care how powerful they are. And it's even more important, like the people like Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep, that these people are exposed because they are shaping our culture. They're not just some Joe Blow living down the street. They're shaping our very culture, and they have been shaping our culture for decades. Steven Spielberg thing, I mean, that, you look, there's an interview with Heather O'Rourke's mother, where she goes into great detail how at first they misdiagnosed Heather. Heather's the little blonde girl that played in the Poltergeist movies in the 80s. And, she died when she was 12 because of an obstruction in her bowel. At first it was misdiagnosed, and then it was misreported by the coroner, and then they finally got the real story that there was an obstruction, that her lower bowel had been torn up, and had been torn up because Steven Spielberg had been committing anal sex on her. He is a pedophile. And Steven Spielberg will not deny this. He will not deny that he anally raped, which led to the death of Heather O'Rourke. It's sick. He needs to be arrested. And Tom Hanks, who raped Sarah Ashcraft multiple times, these people need to be arrested. And they're not going to They're not going to sue me. They're not going to sue Isaac. They're not going to sue Sarah or Fiona. They're not going to sue us as any innocent person would do. An innocent person would say, hey, I did not do these things. This is a lie. They would try to, basically put a court injunction against anyone. They're not doing that. They don't want to do it because they're guilty. They're guilty. Now, I do believe that this movement, this awakening, where so many of these pedophiles are being outed, and now we're seeing voodoo donuts being exposed, and I'm sure more things are going to happen with voodoo donuts and other things. But I do believe that this whole movement of exposing this pedophilia and this corruption in the very top echelons of Washington, D.C. and Hollywood and the religious community, that it does fit into a prophetic context. And I reached out to Levi Kahn. He called me the other night, and we had a pretty good conversation, but he was the one who interviewed me a few weeks ago. And I told him, I said, I'd love to have another sort of interview or discussion where we talk about how this whole Isaac Cappy, Sarah Ashcraft, Fiona Barnett, this whole pedophilia exposing movement fits into the end times. How it fits into the end times. Actually, Fiona, who is a born-again Christian, she posted a really good post. In fact, I'm going to try to see if I can bring it up here real quickly, because it's better to just quote directly from her than for me to try to paraphrase it. She put up a really good tweet. It was either today or yesterday. Let me see if I can find it. Where is it? It was yesterday. Oh, here it is. Yeah, she posted it 14 hours ago. She said, it's time for the true church to go underground. Forget prosperity doctrine. The next Holocaust is on its way. John Jack Johnston, Dmitry Duduman, David Wilkerson all predicted the USA will be nuked. Russia and China will invade, prepare spiritually and physically leave the cities. And then somebody responded to her, square hit, said, so true what you were saying. I traveled across the entire country, the United States, in search of a true church, only to find a lot of Masonic symbolism, mind control, pentagram in a window, hexagrams, false teachings, and so much more everywhere. Very sad. And that's definitely my testimony. I mean, I don't know if there's a genuine church in all of the Portland metro area, or all of Portland, Salem, for that matter. They're all fakes. At least the Messianic ones that I tried to go to, they're all pastored, the leadership's corrupt. In fact, I can only name one congregation in all of the United States that I can tell you is led by a true, spirit-filled, obedient man of Yah, and that would be Beth Yeshua International down in Macon, Georgia, pastored by Rabbi Greg Hirschberg. That's the only one I know. One out of how many, hundreds of thousands of churches and synagogues and Messianic congregations that fill this nation? It's pathetic. So I've talked on my website about Dmitry Duduman, David Wilkerson, also, she doesn't mention this, but Henry Groover. They all predict and prophesy the destruction of America. I think she's right on. And I'll just give a kind of a little teaser, because I want Levi Kahn to do an interview with me where we discuss this. I think it would be really good, do a live stream. But as a little teaser, I think that the more that these pedophiles get exposed and the more pressure is brought to bear, which I think this movement is growing. It's like an avalanche. And people like Isaac Cappy and Sarah Ashcraft and Fiona Barnett, they're starting this, and it's getting bigger and bigger. Fiona's been out there for a while, and Sarah's been out there for months, but because of what Isaac's done, it's like now everyone's starting to wake up and pay attention. But I think that there's going to be so much pressure brought to bear on these powerful pedophiles, on the CIA, on these powerful pedophiles in Hollywood, on powerful political figures, that the deep state is either going to be smashed to bits, you know, and these people are going to get arrested, or in just utter kind of self-preservation mode, if they see that there's no way they can control this, then they're gonna go for like a false flag, and I mean a big false flag, something that would totally change the conversation away from their pedophilia, which I think would be like a suitcase nuke or a nuclear bomb going off in a major American city. I think that's probably what would do it. So that's probably what they're going to do. In either case, whether they do that or whether the deep state and the current New World Order is exposed and smashed, in either scenario, what's going to rise up from the ashes of that, which is going to look really good to a lot of people, is actually going to be the satanic kingdom that's going to control the world for 3.5 years. You know, that doesn't mean we should stop exposing these pedophiles. Of course we should. That's a basic mission. Just like we shouldn't stop ministering and preaching, even though we know things are headed toward dark days. I think that's kind of what Fiona's saying in her tweet. But you know, we know the Great Tribulation's coming. And I think part of the deception is that this current New World Order is going to be torn down, whether it's through these people getting exposed and arrested and the New World Order is smashed to bits by the truth movement and it just engulfs the public so much, or whether a war or some sort of false flag precipitates a war, which totally shifts everything. But either way, this satanic kingdom that's prophesied in Revelation is going to rise up out of the ashes of this thing, and that's where we get that 3.5 year tribulation. I still personally believe, and I could be wrong, I don't know the day or time, but I personally still believe we're a good 7 to 10 years out before we see the 3.5 year Great Tribulation. I think America has until about, I'm going to say 2024, and then at that point I think we might see the beginning of the 3.5 years that would stretch to 2027. That's my current speculation. It could be wrong, could be right, but I think it's about 7 to 10 years. There's still too many things that have to happen before the Antichrist is going to come on the scene and before we would see the events described in Revelation as 3.5 years. But anyway, this is an important movement. I'm really fired up about it. I mean, I'm writing a fiction novel where I've been writing about 1,000 words a night. I wasn't able to get to it last night, but since about Sunday night, I've been writing 1,000 words a night. I'm writing this fiction thriller, which is all about the underbelly of the pedophilia going on in Hollywood being exposed by these actors and these journalists. And it's a thriller, and I'm excited. I'm writing this thing, and I'm excited to make these videos to expose this stuff, and I'm excited to see the growing momentum of people, Americans, saying, this is not right. We should not allow pedophiles to shape our culture and to lead Hollywood and to lead the politics and to lead our churches. This is wrong. And it's my hope that enough people are going to awaken. And even if the result is a world war or false flag or total success, and yet out of that success another new world order arises that's even worse, even knowing that, that's fine. I still want to hold these people accountable, and I know that these things are going to come to pass. What Fiona's talking about, Dimitri Duduman, David Wilkerson, these people have predicted. I know the United States is going to fall, but Yah's still holding things back because I think he's allowing us. He's trying to see who's going to be engaged, who's going to be hot. Laodicea, you're either hot or cold, but don't be lukewarm. Who's going to be hot for him? I think that's why he's sort of holding back his judgment in the United States, because he's waiting to see who's going to be hot for me, who's going to fight, and he'll use that to judge you. Because I tell you, once this stuff hits, once we see a war or a false flag, there's going to be millions of Americans that are going to die. But I think we still have a sort of a time of mercy where we can join people like Isaac Cappy and Sarah Ashcraft and Fiona Barnett and David Schroeder and Michael Weiland and Crispin Glover and all these people. We can join them and help them and do what we can to protect these little children, because that's what it's all about, protecting the little ones. So I hope this message inspires you, and I am going to get more into how this all fits into the prophetic unfolding of what we're going to see in the nation and in the world, and we'll get to that. I'm hoping to set up something with Levi Kahn, like maybe the end of this weekend or next week. Okay, this is Daniel John Lee with Torah Restoration Ministries. Website is spiritandtorah.com. Shalom.